And I'd like to introduce myself for those who don't know me. I'm Venerable Nissarano. I'm an Australian monk, so I ordained with Ajahn Ajahn Brahm in Perth. Now I've been a monk, this last Vassa was my 20th Vassa, so now getting older in the robe, so that's very nice. And I've been living here in Sri Lanka for the last 11 years. So my Sinhala should be reasonable, but it's not bad, but it's not perfect. I live in the country, in a kuti, in a Purana Galena. This is a rock overhang, or a cave, sometimes people call it a cave, and it's an ancient one, so it's probably been used for over 1,000 years at least, maybe longer. And it's very beautiful. It's on the side of a mountain, and I look to the kumbaroos, the paddy fields below, and the mountains in the distance, and live on my own in this forest. Where I live, it's a group of monks who live in a wide area, and we're very separated, and we have kutis, and every day we go to the village for pindapata. This is special, especially for a foreign monk, because we don't do much dhammadesana or dhammasakacha in Sinhala. So in the village, not much use, wadak man, But pindapata, they really appreciate. As I know in Sri Lanka, the dana parami, very well developed. And sometimes in Australia, when I'm in Australia, teaching in English, some of the dayikas, Sri Lankan dayikas will come. They may not come to the talks, but they come for the dana, and they say to me when I leave, "Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to offer dana." So dana parami in Sri Lanka, very good. But we need to develop, of course, apart from dana, Seela and Bhawana. So we'll work on that. So this morning, I'd like to have, as I usually like to, and I'll do it, is have a brief meditation. Because as I said, all of you probably have listened to enough Bhammas and also Dhammasakacha on the radio, television, and so on. I even see them when I'm on Pindapata, because people have the television on, and they're often watching Dhammadesana, and I sit there, they're offering a cup of tea or a kanda. This is the, what do they call it, yagu, it's like a rice porridge. And while they're preparing that, I see it, the Dhammadesana is on the television, so you all have enough, I think, of that. That's very good. But Bhawana is very important. Meditation is very important because this is part of the practice. I say to people, sometimes people consider that Bhawana is really the heart of practice. It's important. But dana and Seela are very important. In fact, of all three, Seela is the most important because Seela will determine where we're reborn. It will determine the quality of our lives, this present life actually. If our Seela is not good, we'll be concerned, we'll have worries in our mind in this life, and in the next life it will have an effect as well. So Seela determines our rebirth. Dana, the quality of that rebirth. And I often say in the West, I think you see it here in Sri Lanka too, you see pets, dogs and cats and other animals in the West, very spoiled, very indulged, the best food, very comfortable sleeping arrangements and looked after, better than people. And I say, when I see this, I say, dana parami good. Seela parami, not so good. Got reborn as an animal. So I say dana parami is quality control, but Seela parami is what takes us to our rebirth. So this is the most important. And also, if our Seela is good, we can feel happy, confident within ourselves, can't we? We can think, I've got nothing to worry about. I've done my best, through body, speech, and hopefully through mind. And this means we can be at ease with ourselves. And it's a very good support for the meditation. Because you notice when you meditate, when the mind becomes peaceful, all those things that are actually on our minds, which we don't notice because we're busy, we're doing this and that, we have many duties and obligations, they come up. So some of these things that we think, it's not a big deal, when you sit in meditation, you notice it. And because the mind, what's happening is the active part of the mind, the doing part of the mind, the interacting part of the mind is being quietened down. And so then the deeper level of the mind is coming up. And the things that are actually on our minds surface. And so you often hear of people when they meditate, especially when they first meditate, sometimes they get deep memories coming back from childhood. I never did, but people do, things come to the surface that they really hadn't, focused on maybe for years or maybe even forgotten, but it's there. So this morning we can do some meditation together, and I'll guide that because that makes it much easier. I encourage people, to try guided meditations and see what works for you. There are many teachers doing guided meditation, so you can try and just see which works for you. Generally, my emphasis in meditation is, and I think this coming from Ajahn Brahm, we should enjoy the meditation. We should not make it hard work, not make it difficult, to enjoy it, to be reasonably comfortable with the body, not to torture ourselves, not to make it into something very tough. And the important thing for me, I think this is very useful, Ajahn Brahm teaches this too, is in the meditation to develop some positive, wholesome feeling and use that with a meditation object, whatever it is, whether it be the present moment, the breath, walking, any of these activities that you can use as your object of meditation. So, some positive emotions. Last night I was teaching gratitude. A very useful one I like is just to have in the mind, I bring into the mind, thank you. And just using that word, something will come to mind, what I'm thankful for, either today or in the past, to somebody or to some event in my life. And if this is a very good thing to encourage, because we seldom, very rarely, are grateful for what we have. We're more focused on, aren't we, what we need to get, what's missing in life, and yet we don't reflect on what we've already got, and what we can be thankful for. And this emotion of thanks is a very pleasant emotion, and you can combine it with the breath, combine it with the present moment, and it will anchor the mind. The mind will like that. The mind craves happiness. So if you create a positive feeling in the mind, wholesome feeling in the mind, then the mind will stay with whatever you are using as your object. It makes it interesting. And this is the trick of meditation, actually, is to make the object interesting so that then the mind stays with that object and allows everything else to settle. That's the purpose. So now we can begin, maybe 10 minutes or so, and then I give a very short talk. It's getting shorter all the time, and then some questions after that. So if you like to make yourself comfortable, and we can close the eyes. And so for the first thing we can do is to give attention to the body, and the first is to relax the body physically. So we can tighten the foot to the hip and to move it forward, and then to tighten the other leg up to the hip and move it forward. So we're swiveling the hips just to get comfortable and give it allow it to let go. Just with the hips. Good. I call this the yoga workout. And then with the shoulders, the arms to the shoulders, we move that forward, the right shoulder forward, and then the left shoulder forward. We're swiveling that backwards and forward. It's amazing how effective this is for the whole body, actually. And then we can raise the shoulders towards the ears a few times. And then we can turn the head to look over the right shoulder, back to the center, back to the left shoulder, looking over the left shoulder as much as possible, back to the center, the right shoulder, and back to the center and looking over the left shoulder. And then just to tighten around the mouth area, around the eyes, the forehead, and the top of the head. Tighten it just for a moment. Probably looks great. And then let go. And now to relax the body with the mind, moving from the head slowly down, like a massage, like soothing massage, relaxing, releasing, top of the head, the forehead, around the face, around the eyes, around the mouth, the whole of the face, the neck and the right shoulder, relaxing, releasing, and moving down the right arm, all the way down to the hand, relaxing, right to the fingertips of the right hand. And then bringing the attention to the left shoulder, relaxing the left shoulder, moving down the left arm to the elbow, to the wrist, allowing it to relax, to let it be comfortable. Down to the left hand, to the fingertips. And now we move the attention down the back, right from the top of the shoulders, down to the waist, down to the top of the legs, at the back. And now we move the attention to the front of the body, from the shoulders, moving down the chest, allowing any tension to dissolve, to relax, to let it be. Moving to the stomach area, the abdomen, and then moving down the right leg, starting at the top of the right leg, down to the knee, down to the ankle, to the right foot, and to the tips of the toes. And then we move our attention to the left leg, starting at the top of the left leg, moving down to the knee, and down to the ankle, to the foot, and to the tips of the toes of the left foot. And we bring our awareness to the whole body. How does it feel, the whole body now? Here, is it comfortable? So that we don't have to move for the next 10, 15 minutes. And now we can bring to mind, we can create an image, we can visualize receiving a gift. And this gift, a beautiful wrapped gift, contains metta, maitri, loving kindness, caring, acceptance, well-wishing, wishing us to be free of problems of body and mind, this gift of maitri. And we give it to ourselves. This maitri to the body, for the aches and pains, the illnesses, the difficulties it has. And we give this maitri to the present moment. We let go of the future. We let go of the past. And just have maitri for the present moment. Whatever we're experiencing, whether it be the temperature of the air from the air conditioner, the sound, contact with the seat, or the feet contacting the floor, whatever we are aware of moment to moment, and we have this feeling of maitri for this present moment. It's really the only moment we have, is the present. The rest is a projection, a memory, or a plan. We're just here. And we're just part of the present moment. We don't have to be the centre of the present moment. We're part of the present moment. Everything that's happening now, we're part of that. And if the mind wanders off, we just bring up this feeling of Maitri. We can even visualize the gift containing the Maitri, the present. And that will bring us back to the present. And now, if the breath has become very prominent, which it usually does in the present moment, it's the largest activity happening in the body, we can combine this feeling of Maitri with the in-breath, breathing in Maitri and breathing out Maitri to the world, to everyone here, to our friends, our relatives, to the world, to all beings. So we're breathing in with the in-breath, Maitri. Breathing out, Maitri to the world, our gift. We receive the gift of Maitri and we give the gift of Maitri, of loving kindness. And if the mind wanders off, we just bring it, we recall, we remember this Maitri, this feeling of Maitri on the in-breath and the out-breath. And just come back to the breath with Maitri, loving kindness. And now we're coming close to the end of the meditation, the short meditation. So I'd like to ask you to reflect on how you feel now, if there is any difference from before, just to notice, how do I feel now? And if there is a change, if there is a difference, to reflect, well, what brought this up? What caused this to arise, this feeling in the mind? And maybe we'd even can think of what we learned from the meditation, what worked, what was very useful with the meditation. And next we can share this merit, this energy of meditating, like a gift we can give to everyone here, of Maitri, of loving kindness, of friendliness, to our family, to our friends, and to all the beings in this area, and the whole world, the whole universe, all realms of existence. This Maitri, this well-wishing, that they be free of troubles of body and mind, and find happiness, security and peace in their lives, wherever they are. And lastly, to have the aspiration to give myself this gift of Maitri more often during the day, in my meditations, to the people I meet, to everyone that I encounter. And if possible, to the difficult people too. May I develop more and more Maitri, more and more friendliness, loving kindness in my mind, in my heart. So now we can come out of the meditation slowly, opening the eyes and moving the body to make ourselves comfortable, to adjust the body, to make ourselves comfortable again. So I hope you found that useful. This is a meditation that Ajahn Brahm used. I well remember, actually, I was at the monastery at the time. he first combined metta with the breath. And he had just been to a meditation retreat. It was a weekend meditation retreat at a place called Safety Bay, which we were using at that time. And he came back, and I saw him. I was in the monastery area, I was near the office, and he came and he just said, "I can't speak now." And he just went off. I thought, wow, that's unusual for Bhante, because, Ajahn Brahm is never caught for words. He's very quick-minded. And when he came back later, he said, I taught Maitri meditation, metta meditation at the end of the retreat, as I normally do. But then I combined it with the breath. And so the breath was like my baby. The Buddha's image of Maitri, of metta, is the mother's love for her baby. And he said he used that with the breath. And it went so deep that the meditation went so deep that he was stuck for words, because the mind had become very, very peaceful. It wasn't moving. If the mind doesn't move, very hard to think, very hard to speak. And actually to see someone like Ajahn Brahm finding it difficult to speak is very inspiring. I've only twice in my time with Ajahn Brahm seen that, and that was that time. And the second time was when he had a retreat for 6 months. And he came out, and that first night he gave a Dhamma talk. I couldn't believe it. He was finding it difficult to find the words. And that was because the mind was so still, so peaceful, so happy, that it didn't want to move. And he said for 2 days after that experience of coming out of that 6-month retreat, he had a headache because of the speaking, listening to other people. So this can be very effective, and I hope that you had some good experiences with it. And as I say, you can use any positive, wholesome emotion that is easy to develop. Sometimes for men I hear that Maitri is not easy. In the West they say that, because there's not a traditional Maitri, and so less feeling for it. Men say, I can't get any feeling at all. I use the words, may I be well and happy, that sort of thing. And nothing comes, But then, you can use other approaches to develop the Maitri, and particularly using images. The idea of a mother's love or a father's love for their child is very, very important, is very useful. I often hear people tell me that in their lives, the happiest moment in their lives, what would that be? In their family life, you'd probably say. The happiest moment? First child is born, exactly. And so you can even use that emotion with your meditation. You can remember that, because it's a very strong memory for people. And that's that love. And I, of course, when I go on Bintapata, there's some new mothers in the village. Well, actually one had already had a child, but the other was first child. And I just see the love. It's incredible. It really is amazing to watch. There's absolute adoration, You have to put up with a lot as a mother, and as a father too, Looking after the baby, changing nappies, feeding it, crying at night, all these things, cranky baby, all these things. So it's a powerful emotion that we can tap into. But other emotions, as I said, thank you is a very good one. Contentment is good. Ajahn Brahm uses that I have enough, more than enough, is like I like to use, We can use other ones like compassion. We can use. I like mudita too. Compassion is, when somebody can be ourselves to begin with. To have compassion for ourselves, our difficulties in life. And then to extend it to other beings. But also mudita is a wonderful one, because it's like free happiness. You rejoice at someone else's good fortune or their good qualities, and you feel happy. So you're getting free happiness from their happiness. Most people, they don't do that. They just think, why isn't it me? Why don't I get this good fortune? Why don't I have this good quality? And they are jealous, and this counteracts that. And it's a very good way to bring up happiness in the mind, because there's always someone that's having good fortune, good luck in their life, and you can rejoice in that. So the important thing with our lives is really to develop these wholesome emotions, because we don't need any difficulty developing the negative emotions. They are there, very deep, ingrained from eons and eons of, getting angry, wanting a lot of greed, competing with others for this and that, and a good deal of confusion. And, moha is also like the sense of self is a great source of suffering for all of us. We compare ourselves to everyone else, we're either better, equal, or worse. That's the worst scenario. And so that's a great source of suffering too. So these, developing these positive emotions are very useful. They are worth developing. Many people, they will develop anger and they get very good at it. Some people can get angry in no time flat. And you see in the West, I don't know, here in Sri Lanka, not so much, I think. Road rage, do you have it here? People, a small thing, and they get so angry, and in the West I've heard that people get out of their cars and shoot another driver or something. Now that's incredible, isn't it? Absolutely incredible. Because, what have they done? They've developed this unwholesome emotion of anger. They've perfected it. And we have that ability, we have that right, of course, to do that. But we live with the results, which are painful to ourselves and to others. And these pleasant emotions, wholesome emotions, are very useful to develop. They counteract, to a certain extent, the other obsession we have, which is getting pleasure through our senses, through what we see, hear, smell, taste and touch. And this sort of pleasure, nice food, good, and everybody enjoys it, but it's over in minutes. And I always say to people, if you eat your favourite food for 10 or 15 minutes, great. 20 minutes, a little uncomfortable. 30 minutes, 45 minutes, oh God, I hope I never have this again. After an hour, you're in agony, perhaps hospital. So this is the nature of sense pleasures. They're actually intrinsically short, fleeting. They have to be. If they're not, they become dukkha, they become suffering, they become painful. And they don't have that lasting quality that these inner happinesses have. When we develop Maitri, it's inner happiness. We take it with us. That happiness of seeing your first child born, that's inside. That's a we say, indelible sort of happiness. When we watch the internet, the videos, that's all over in a short time. But these other happinesses of feeling grateful for what we have, feeling content for what we have, feeling compassion for other people, and also mudita for their success and their good qualities, we keep inside. They're lasting. They don't go off. They don't have a use-by date as such. Whereas the other pleasures of the senses, they have to. If they lasted for very long, whatever it be, whether it's the most pleasant physical contact one can imagine, if it lasted for too long, it would become suffering, it would become painful, unbearable. So these sorts of wholesome emotions we can develop any time during our day, not just during the meditation. The meditation, I always say, is like a training ground. You know how we have practice for sport? Actually, 90% of sport, I think, is probably, maybe even more, practice. And 10%, the match. So, we need the practice. We need to develop the practice, and this is in sitting or walking meditation, we can develop it. But we take it into the match. But in terms of our lives, meditation may only be 10% of our lives or less. The 90% is daily life. This is where we can take what we've learnt, what we've felt on the cushion, developing these wholesome emotions. The stronger they become, the more habitual they become, that's what will come up. That's what will surface. And so these are very, very useful things. We're training, we're in practice when we're meditating. But the purpose, say for instance, of Maitri meditation is not to feel, well, it's good to feel good when you're sitting on the cushion, fine, that's good. But if you go into daily life, you're with your family, the people you work with, and then you're cranky and you abuse them, tell them off, then where's the Maitri? The practice was in the sitting, and then to take it into daily life. Of course, we don't always succeed, do we? In those cases, we learn a bit. Maybe next time I'll do it differently. And deal with that person another way. So then, we're developing these wholesome qualities of Maitri, Of Khanti too, patience. Patience is a great, great virtue, very underrated. I think in Sri Lanka people are quite good at Khanti actually. They've got quite a lot of Khanti, I know. When you wait for buses for hours, you certainly get used to it. Khanti is a great emotion, a great asset for people actually, because, for most of us, if difficult emotions come up, or pains in the body, whatever it is, we try to run away from it, don't we? We try to distract ourselves, do something different. But in actual fact, if we have Khanti, if we just allow it to be, no negativity towards it, just allow it to be. Khanti's got quite a bit of Maitri in it actually, just allow it to be. It will pass. And actually when it passes with this difficult emotion, maybe it's depression, maybe it's anger, irritation, annoyance, whatever it is, when it passes, we are so much stronger for it because we have seen it come and go. Usually our practice is to run away from it, and we always feel that it will overwhelm us. But with Khanti, it makes us stronger and stronger. We know, I can bear it. And not only can I bear it, but I can see it pass away. And this is anitya, isn't it? Anitya. And that makes us stronger. And it's a very good way to deal with these negative emotions. When the Buddha wasn't the Buddha, he was a bodhisattva at the time. In one sutra, it's called the Fear and Dread Sutra in the Majjhima Nikaya. He did this very practice actually. When fear arose in his mind, if he was walking, he would just keep walking until that fear finished, passed away. If he was sitting, he would just sit until that fear passed. He wouldn't get up and do something else, whatever. He wouldn't change posture until that fear had subsided, until it had passed away. And if he was lying down, the same. And this is a way we can deal with the negative emotions. Very useful, very useful. And we are strong enough to do that. And this is a very positive emotion. Khanti is a very positive emotion that has this quality of equanimity too, because the mind is very even. It's very samatala, yes, very even, so that it's not elated or depressed. It can bear with, and with a lot of loving kindness. And also, Khanti can give us a lot of feedback. It can give us a lot of wisdom we can develop from Khanti as well. And we need it sometimes with people, children, and politics, government, all sorts of things we need it with. So very, very useful. And in this, sometimes people think if you have Khanti, you're like a doormat. They'll walk all over you. But it's not so. You actually develop a strength. You can bear with whatever, without negativity in the mind, without resistance, and then learn from it and become a stronger person, more positive person than before. So I think, so I'd encourage you to develop these positive emotions. These are very useful for our lives. And they're very sweet for the life too. They bring happiness. These positive emotions are actually a cause for happiness. They develop, they naturally give rise to happiness. Our negative emotions of greed, of anger, irritation, annoyance and delusion, the three roots of negative roots in our minds, they will not bring happiness, they only bring suffering, they only bring difficulty, they only bring unpleasant experiences. So why not, develop the mind towards the pleasant, towards the beneficial, the wholesome. This is very, very useful for all of us to develop. So, I think that's not what I was going to talk about actually. So this is like a priority in our life. And maybe I'll end with this story actually. I like this story. So, in America in a business school, because most of you are probably business people, you're famous, isn't it? US business school. This is one of Ajahn Brahm's stories. You may recognise it. And there was a professor in the social economics faculty, and he came in for his lecture one day. He didn't say anything. They're all waiting, poised to hear, what the lecture would be about. And he got out a glass jar. He put it on the table or on the lectern, and then he got out a bag of stones. And he put the stones in, one by one, he put these stones. And all the students are looking and think, what is he doing? And then he said, after he'd filled the jar with stones, he'd say, "Is that full? Is the jar full?" And they would say, "Yes, yes, of course it's full. You can't get any more stones in." And he said, "Ah." And then he got out a second bag, and it was gravel, these small sort of pieces of rock. I don't know what you call them in Sinhala. Gravel. And he poured that in. He shook the bottle, and he filled up the bottle with that. And then he said to the students, "Well, is it full now, the jar?" And they said, "Knowing you, it's not full." Sure enough, he got out a third bag. And then was sand. He poured the sand in the top, shook the bottle, and the sand filled up the bottle. And then he said, "Is it full?" And they said, we don't think so." Of course, sure enough, he got out a jug of water. There must have been a jug there near the lectern, and poured the water in until it was full. And then, having finished this demonstration, he said to them, "What's the point of what I've just showed you?" And one student evidently piped up and said, "No matter how busy you are, you can always fit something else in." And watch out for that. He said, "No, that's not the answer. That's not the answer." But it's true. The answer is you have to put the big stones in first before you put anything else in. That was the answer. So what do you think the big stones stand for? What are they indicative of? Do you know what do they represent? The big stones? Family? That's yes. It's priorities, isn't it? Because the big stones, as he said, if you don't put the big stones in first, later you can't get them in. So if your priorities are relationships, family, friends, if you are too busy with work, can't get them in. And same for the other important things in our lives, like meaning and purpose is very important in our lives. To have that is very important. But if we actually fill up the bottle with, say, the gravel or the sand or the water, and this can be like entertainment. Today, this is actually major. That I see it in the West very much. People spend a lot of time watching television. The internet is absolutely, you can get what you want on the internet, whatever it be, and they can spend hours watching this. This is taking our time, and the important things, the big stones, may get ignored. And a good example of this for me was, and you see this probably every day as well. I wish I'd taken a photo of it. I was at the Buddhist Centre. There were about 5 or 6 people sitting around, and they were all looking at their smartphones. Nobody was speaking to each other. So this is very much, shows how we are completely taken up with this entertainment, with the communicating, and actually in the process missing out on things that are important to us. So this is what the big stones stand for. And sometimes people, because we have very busy lives, and mainly you actually, my life is reasonably busy, I feel reasonably full too, but not quite like yours. You have family responsibilities, work, and many other things to take care of in the day. Because of that, it's very hard sometimes to determine what the big stones are, isn't it? Our priorities, our perspective is not right because we're too busy. And a very good way to get our priorities sorted out is actually to bring to mind, well, if I was to die tomorrow, what would be important? What would I want to do? How would I want to spend my time? And that is a very useful reflection. It really settles us. The Buddha encouraged this for a very good reason, that we reflect on what is important. Because most of us, we live our lives as if we ignore that life is a limited offer. Conditions apply. And thereby we actually waste opportunities and don't do the things that are most important. So when we think, I will die tomorrow, what comes to mind? So this is a very useful way to work out your priorities. Of course, life And you see this, don't you? You probably have friends that this has happened to. Maybe it's happened to you as well. Car accidents, other accidents, completely change your life, and then you reevaluate. Then you say, or a major illness, isn't it? If a person gets cancer or has diabetes, whatever major illness, then they start to look at life, what's important. And these are, I call them wake-up calls. They're wake-up calls. And I have actually seen a video with an American teacher, and she's talking to a man who has cancer. I think it was in the eyes, because he had a patch over his eyes. And she actually got him to say, she asked him to say, what was good about having cancer? What was good about having cancer? Everybody good. It's a real taboo anyway to say the word cancer, let alone what's good about it. But he said, I really started living. I really started appreciating my family, my wife, and the life that I have. Before I was too busy. I was trying to get this and that, promotions, get ahead, and so many things, get the vacation, holiday here, there, many, many things. But when we're faced with these major illnesses, accidents in life, then we reevaluate. Then we think, this is important. And this is actually very central to the Buddha's teaching, because he left the palace, the home life, because of sickness, old age and death. These three things he recognised as part of the limited offer. And he wasn't satisfied with it. He wanted to deal with that. And this is why he became the Buddha, to find out the solution, the way to overcome these things, to deal with these. And he became the Buddha because of these things. And sometimes people say, they're thinking of Vipassana as very, it's anicca, dukkha, anatta, for sure. And they think of it in very deep meditative terms. But it's also, anicca is sickness, old age and death. This is part of anicca. And as we grow older, I see it much, much, much more clearly now. Now I'm 60, almost 65. I see anicca very, very clearly. And it doesn't bother me, actually. I think I must make the best of my opportunity this lifetime. And when I see people who live to 90 or 100, I think maximum, upari makhila. They've done well, Whether they've lived to their full capacity is another thing. Because if you have a long life and you don't actually develop your mind, because this is the thing, isn't it? Developing the body is one thing, and we see plenty of people who do that. There's lots of studios for bodybuilding, and I've seen them all over the place. And but that's, in terms of investment, that's a dead end, because the body will eventually die. But the mind, now that's another prospect altogether. Changes our life here if we develop the mind. It changes our experience of living, and also, if you believe in rebirth, it will give rise to a good rebirth wherever we go. So this is a much better investment, working on the mind. And in this society, of course, we're very, in the West it's very true, concerned about the body, the appearances and all these sorts of things. But it's really the mind that is the centre of the universe for all of us. So I encourage you to develop the mind, develop these wholesome states, and to find out what the big stones are for you. It's not a matter of me saying, this is a big stone, that's a big stone. You have to find your own big stones. Really, you all know what they are, what's important. And then you give time to it, then you give your attention to it, and then you'll feel satisfied. You won't have regrets or remorse that I didn't do this, I didn't have enough time with my family, my wife, or whatever, I didn't have enough time for this thing that was very meaningful for me, this activity that I found was very, very important. Because meaning is very important in our lives. So I'd like to end there, because it's now after 1:15, and just answer a few questions. I hope you like that one of the stones. Do many people know that one? Did you know? All right. If you've read the Opening the Door of Your Heart, it's in there. So it's a very nice story. I always liked it, actually. Right. In your personal experience, what benefits are achieved from meditation. Very good. The benefits that are achieved from meditation, many actually, because when we develop mindfulness, we're in the present moment, we experience life more fully. I sometimes say when we're really in the present moment, it's like 3D. I find this, I notice it on Bindapart particularly, that it's like 180 degrees I'm taking in when I'm in the present moment. When I'm not in the present moment, that's usually thinking, isn't it? Past and future, what I'm going to do, I have to do this when I get back to the kuti and I'll do that and so on. Then it's a very small view. It's not 180 degrees. It's not 3D. So mindfulness is a great blessing for our daily life. And also in meditation, as I said before, we're practicing to develop wholesome emotions that bring up happiness for us. So this is a great benefit. It also allows us to calm, to reduce, maybe, and eventually eliminate the negative ones. So, like if we're a very angry person, easily irritated, then we can reduce those. And then our life becomes more even and more happy, actually, more happy. So meditation allows us also to allow the mind the active part of the mind to settle, and then for the deeper aspect of mind to come up. And when that happens, that's more the knowing part of the mind. And that part of the mind is very useful. A lot of wisdom can come from that. And so it's also very useful. Often we have the idea of problem solving or think it out. But actually, sometimes we just stop, have 5 minutes meditation, no thinking, let the thinking go as much as possible. I don't know about no thinking. And then solution comes. Not from thinking, just from letting it be. And then the answer can come up. So it's a very good way for decision making. If you've got very difficult decisions to make, and there are some in life that are very tough, take a few minutes beforehand just to meditate, just to calm down, and then let everything go, let everything be for that time, and then come out and then see what comes up from the mind. And you'll be surprised. I'm surprised sometimes, I have this feeling sometimes, I wonder where that came from, because it was not in my conscious mind. Suddenly a solution will come, I think, wow, that's perfect. And I think, wow. I always say, thank you, mind, for this. It's obviously deep in the mind, it's there. So that's some of the benefits of meditation. Thank you very much. There we are. Hari Hari. Thank you very much. Sadhu. There we are. Maybe we just share the merit a little bit. Yes, that's a good idea. It feels complete then, doesn't it, if we share merit? Yes. So. There we are. Etavata cha amhehi sambadang punya sampadang sambe deva anumodantu samba sampati siddhya sambe bhuta anumodantu samba sampati siddhya sambe satta anumodantu samba sampati siddhya idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo akasata chabumata devanaga mahindika punyang tang anumoditva chirang rakantu sasanang chirang rakantu desanang chirang rakantu twang sada. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.